I came across a quote on plastic by an American oceanographer today who said, and I quote, "Only we humans make waste that nature can't digest." I found this quote to be very hard-hitting and closer to the reality of plastic. Plastic is a waste staring at us. Today's event, therefore, could have come at a better time. Today we are aware about the menace of plastic waste. The good thing is that there is a greater awareness gaining ground around us to come up with sustainable models to manage it. And I'm very happy to inform the August gathering that we are going to witness today the culmination of an ongoing efforts of 10 months in the form of Handbook on Plastic Waste Management, jointly developed by NITI Aayog and UNDP. This work became possible following intensive consultation, several technical workshops and hours of discussion with stakeholders across the country. The handbook is a comprehensive resource book on planning efficient plastic waste management systems for urban sector professionals. The handbook, I am hopeful, would guide us to plan, monitor and manage plastic waste with greater efficiency. Having said that, I deem it as my proud privilege to welcome Shri Rajivkumar, Vice Chairman, NITI Aayog, Shri Amitabh Kant, CEO, NITI Aayog, for the launch event of this handbook. I, along with a lot of people here, must admit that NITI Aayog is making greater strides under their leadership. I also extend a warm welcome to Shri Rajeshwar Rao, Special Secretary, NITI Aayog, Shri R.P. Gupta, Secretary, Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change, Ms. Shoko Noda, President Representative of UNDP in India, and all our esteemed guests present in person and all those who have joined virtually. I am hopeful that the event planned today will go a long way in our efforts of managing plastic waste and in our endeavor to make our planet cleaner and greener than ever. With this, I would like to invite Sri Rajeshwar Rao, sir, Special Secretary, to make his presentation on this handbook, which is going to be launched shortly. Sir.
Sir, once again, sir, a warm welcome to you all. Sir, I'll just briefly tell, sir, what is the concept and how did we develop the handbook. Can you just give us? Yes. Sir, in NITI Aayog, sir, a think tank, we have been constantly working to develop the knowledge products, sir. First, we developed on water, sir, on the wastewater recycling. Second is the indoor model, which was very successful. We supplied to all the ministries, the government of India, sir. And also FSSM, which was a very successful book, sir, on the business and service models, which was the, again, brainchild of CEO, sir. And then now we are working on the plastic management, sir. Then we will be again releasing another best practices and also business models book on solid waste management. The purpose is, sir, to help the state urban departments and also the 4,000 odd municipalities to get a very precise and a professional guidance and feedback, so that if they want to implement these waste management practices and waste to wealth, they can perhaps get benefited. And also we are there, sir, to guide them, and we have been planning workshops, sir, to take it forward, the whole product. This is only beginning of an activity by the vertical, sir. Sir, we started, sir, very elaborate discussions with UNDP, who have also spent a lot of energy, sir. So 20 stakeholder consultations have been held with ULBs, recyclers, private sector NGO. So finally, sir, we have shortlisted 18 case studies, because we have to take care of the tier 2, tier 3, tier 1 municipalities also. And there is a awareness about the plastic waste management and also promoting the best practice, sir. Parallelly, sir, ASCII and UNDP also, we launched a innovation challenge for startups in the plastic waste management. And we conducted a 10-week certificate course also with ADBI help and also ASCII to help the municipal functionaries to work on the municipal waste management. NITI's efforts have been appreciated by many municipal commissioners. Sir, I will not go into the very many statistics, but 3.4 million tons of plastic waste is generated, sir, in India per year, as per the CPCB source. And plastic waste generation per capita is highest in Goa, Delhi and Kerala. Lowest is in Nagaland, Sikkim, Tripura. in our proposed regional workshops to take the whole best practices forward, we will be focusing on the high needed areas. So these are the three things, sir, which is creating impact: environmental impact, sir, health and social impact, and economic impact, which we are all aware, which I will not go into further details. But plastic waste management rules, sir, Secretary MOF is here only, and he has been closely associated. Now finally, sir, this 2021 plastic waste management rules have been amended, and the journey started in 2000 with the solid waste management rules, but now we are in a firm position to involve all the stakeholders. Sir, this circular economy transition, things are, waste is being generated. Now, sir, Niti Aayog constituted 11 groups on the circular economy. Now the next step would be complete recycling, extracting valuables, mixing with virgin materials, sir. Then perhaps with the plastic waste, the circular economy transition will be complete, sir. Now coming to the handbook, sir, we have 4 crucial components. One is material recovery, that is very important for the circular economy, and also the information, education and communication. Still, plastic is discussed, but there is a absolute ignorance about the waste management in the small towns and other places that we will be addressing, sir. And also the institutionalization of MRFs in governance bodies and technical model. So these are all not very comprehensive, sir. The municipalities will have option to go into other models also, but we are keen that only these models we are now focusing, sir. 14 models, sir, starting with Hyderabad, Mumbai, Indore, Bhubaneswar, Trivandrum, small places like Panaji. Also, we have focused on these 4 themes, sir. This will help the municipalities perhaps to take an appropriate model and adopt it, also study. This will also be helpful for the elected representative also to understand the problems of the plastic waste management, sir. So social inclusion of informal workers, lot of work was done, sir, by UNDP and many state government initiatives. So basically entrepreneurial opportunities development and also development of waste pickers cooperatives, development of a blended workforce. These models are very important to formalization of the informal workforce in the waste management, sir. So target audience, sir, basically we are looking for today, sir, about more than 300 are there online from municipalities, urban departments, and also the private parties. They are all eager to see. We will be uploading on the website. We will be translating into Hindi, sir, to begin with, because to cater to the 8-9 states and also to the regional languages. During our regional workshops, I was just discussing with the UNDP representatives. We will be actively promoting plastic waste management with case studies and also the practice sessions. So state officials, private sector participants, CSOs, and also urban local bodies are these things. So this is the beginning of a mega activity, sir. Thank you very much, sir.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, sir, for the insightful presentation on sustainable urban plastic waste management. May I now request Sri Amitabh Kant, CODPIM, for his special address.
Vice Chairman Niti Aayog, Mr. Rajivkumar, Mr. R.P. Gupta, Secretary, Ministry of Environment and Forest, our resident representative of UNDP, Shoko Noda, my colleagues, Mr. Rajeshwar Rao and Kundan Kumar, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, and all the participants who've joined us online. We in India are generating about close to 3.4 million tons of plastic annually. And this is an area where all our urban local bodies face tremendous pressure to provide efficient waste management services to the urban population. We are still at the beginning of our urban movement. In the next 5 decades, we'll see over 400 to 500 million people getting into the process of urbanization. And actually, every minute in India, we're seeing about 30 Indians moving from rural areas to urban areas. And therefore, like we have leapfrogged in digital technology, we have leapfrogged in sanitation or in making toilets, we need to create a massive Jan Andolan around plastics. And today, actually over 100 startups are working in various areas of waste management. Many of them are working in the area of plastics, and their vision is of complete waste recycling through well-organized waste management initiatives. So this is a very remarkable study on sustainable urban plastic waste management, and we are delighted that we have partnered UNDP and Shokor Noda, who's a resident representative, has played a very key and critical role. She's been a very dynamic partner in this exercise, and we thank her. Because in our view, technical models are necessary, recovery facilities are necessary, there's extension and mass communication and digitization which is necessary, and lastly, good governance is necessary. And all these aspects have been very well captured in the large number of studies of different states and how they have involved both urban local bodies, waste pickers and recyclers. More than that, this study brings out areas of outcomes, of monitoring, of data collection, and it brings out a large number of international good practices which are available in this field. There's a lot of technological innovation which is also taking place in this field. Industrial composting of plastic has not been highly successful, but there have been attempts, and I've recently seen 2-3 demonstrations very recently about plastics being made totally biodegradable. There was a presentation made to me about a week back on making it totally biodegradable. We are examining all these proposals, but it's very important that whatever we do, we need to follow this model of reuse and recycle. We are working on other 11 areas of circular economy. We have worked with different ministries. A lot of work has been done on that. Our objective is not to add rules, regulation, procedures, but to see how we can create business models out of them. And therefore, reuse, reduce and recycle, and how waste pickers can be a very integral part of this value chain has been our attempt. And therefore, this study is a very, very remarkable study on the waste value chain. It's, to my mind, one of the most significant work which Niti Aayog has carried out in partnership with UNDP, and I'm truly delighted that Vice Chairman Niti Aayog and Secretary Environment and the UN Resident Representative are all here at this launch. So, thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir, for your words. I'm sure that your words will keep guiding us all through the process. I would now like to request Sri Raveshwar Gupta, Secretary, Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change, for his remarks.
Dr. Rajivkumar, Vice Chairman of Niti Aayog, Mr. Amitabh Kant, CEO Niti Aayog, Ms. Shokor Noda, Resident Representative of UNDP India, Dr. Rajeshwar Rao, all the persons who are connected with us digitally, ladies and gentlemen. We are all aware when plastic was invented, it played the kind of role in taking the industrial revolution forward. The packaging got revolutionized totally. At that point of time, probably we were not aware that something which was seen to be so useful would actually turn out to be a bane for our environment and our own development, as we call the development. Whatever plastic globally is being produced, out of that only about 9% is recycled. 12% is sort of incinerated, that is, it is burnt, and the energy is recovered from it. Rest about 79% that gets into our land, waters, seas, soil, and pollutes it. Today only I received a WhatsApp forward where it was shown if human being were to disappear from the earth, then what will happen in different time frames. It shows that except for plastic, everything else in about 250 to 300 years, including the buildings, they will all collapse and the nature in its pristine form would be back, but for one item, that is plastic, which will remain as our imprint of the human development for millions of years. So that is the impact of the plastic which has in our environment. And actually now we are all realizing it impedes it, but we can't do without it. Looking to all these factors, when we realize the environmental adverse impact of plastic, the ministry has been working on it, Niti Aayog has been working on it, and our plastic waste management rules, solid waste management rules, etc., they were in a direction to manage this problem. Ultimately, as CEO Niti Aayog has said, we have to reduce it. Wherever it is possible, we have to get rid of it. And Honorable Prime Minister gave a call for banning of single-use plastic, because this is the one which neither the rag pickers pick up. It's costly to get it collected, and so economics doesn't work out. So to the extent possible, we should abandon the use of such articles for which the alternatives are available. And we have been working with Ministry of MSME to develop the alternative material, and wherever the alternative materials are available or are likely to be available, these items have been banned by the ministry, and different time frames are there. By the end of 2022, most of the single-use plastic items would be banned. In this respect, we have been working with the states, and the states have formed the action plan under the chief secretaries to implement it in the right earnest. But wherever or whichever plastic is not bannable, which can't be banned, it must be recollected, it must be recycled, and it must get into the cycle of plastic packaging or in the manufacturing of plastic itself. Recently, we amended our plastic waste management rule, and we allowed the use of recycled plastic material for food packaging. Now, allowed does not mean that it can be used for any kind of packaging of the food products or medicines or drugs. It only means that something which was not within our purview, we have just removed it. The regulation for it, in which food stuff, recycled plastic is to be used, where it is not to be used, and to what extent it is to be used, different kind of food material, that is the domain of food safety and FSSAI. They will be doing it. So the impediments which we had, this was one impediment which was not permitting the recycling of it in certain segment of the economy, which we have removed it. Now it will be regulated and it will be permitted. Second area is that where we have to get the plastic collected, get it recycled, and it must be ensured that recycled plastic, the granules of it, they are again used for plastic manufacturing. For this purpose, we have just brought out a notification about 5-6 days back, draft notification that had been published on the extended producer responsibility, which was already there, but it's a revamped notification. This has number of features. It forces the brand owners to reuse to a different extent in different years. This is the new feature which we have introduced. It also requires them to get it recycled. It's not just the responsibility of the collection, but getting it recycled and the trading of those recycled material certificates. That is basically we have brought in the market mechanism in the recycling process. We have got rid of the intermediaries. We are not getting into the who collects it. So different methods of collection, different methods of recycling. Market should determine it. We should not be into the environment ministry. Our focus should be on the environment part of it. That is, it should be collected, recycled. And another feature which we have brought in is that all plastic manufacturers, they must use a certain percentage of recycled material into plastic manufacturing. There is a new feature which has been introduced. But any regulation is as effective as its enforcement. So the annual audit of recyclers and the plastic producer is another new element which has been made part of it. The EPR targets, they can be traded. If somebody has done more than its regulation requirement, he can sell it to others. That is another market friendly mechanism which we have brought in, so that this responsibility is fulfilled at the least cost. There are other provisions also, and I would request all of you, it's on our website, please go through it. But ultimately, we are only a small part of the overall ecosystem of plastic management. Regulations can play only so much of a role as the other elements permit it. There have to be new technologies for recycling it. There has to be overall facilitative ecosystem for recycling and reducing its use. So in this respect, the booklet which has been brought out today, it will play a major role in fulfilling our overall goal of reducing the use of plastic and recycling it, and ensuring that nothing goes into the waste and the plastic pollution is brought to the minimum. So I would like to congratulate Niti Aayog and UNDP for bringing out this handbook and creating a knowledge resource for not only the urban local bodies, but also for all other stakeholders engaged in plastic waste management. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for your work. As we all know, Ministry of Forest, Environment, Forest and Climate Change is a very, very important stakeholder when it comes to sustainable waste management. And I'm sure Niti Aayog and Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change will work hand in hand to achieve this objective. I would now request Ms. Shoka Noda, President Representative UNDP, India, for her remarks.
Dr. Rajivkumar, Vice Chairperson of Niti Aayog, Sri Amitabh Kant, CEO of Niti Aayog, Sri Gupta, Secretary of Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change, Dr. Rao, Special Secretary of Niti Aayog, distinguished guests, media representatives, colleagues and friends, and all those who are participating virtually. Very, very good afternoon. And also hello to everyone. I'm delighted to be here with all of you today for the launch of this handbook on sustainable urban plastic waste management. And I'm also actually happy to see in front of me these coasters. This is also made out of recycled plastics. So plastics can be used for many different things. Plastic pollution and climate change are two of the biggest environmental crises we are facing today. I'm surprised that while we talk a lot about climate change, we have international conferences. I think we should have also more conferences and have a more international framework of how to deal with plastic pollutions. If we want a sustainable future, and we would like to have it, we need to make sure that more and more plastic waste is recovered and recycled, so that it doesn't end up in landfills or leaking into the natural environment and water. But this isn't a one-stop solution. Plastic waste will need expansion of waste management, technological innovations, cleanup, consumer education, which I think is very important, research and development, and design thinking around single-use plastics, among many other actions. The government of India is already taking progressive steps in this direction. The plastic waste management rules and its latest amendments have aptly restricted the manufacture, import, stocking, distribution, sales, and use of identified single-use plastic with effect from the 1st July 2022. Additionally, the robust framework of EPR is promoting effective management of plastic waste among industries. We at UNDP believe that the key to address plastic waste challenge is a multi-stakeholder collaboration. Our plastic waste management program is very active in 35 cities across 22 states. And this program is being implemented in partnership with the Ministry of Housing and Urban Affairs, urban local bodies, and private sectors such as Hindustan Coca-Cola Beverage Private Limited, Coca-Cola India Foundation, Unilever Limited, and HDFC Bank. Since its launch in 2018, this program has collected and diverted more than 82,000 metric tons of plastic waste, which would have otherwise found its way into landfills. This Niti Aayog UNDP Handbook is a timely collaborative effort that aims to provide practical, replicable, and scalable solutions to urban local bodies to manage plastic waste. And I'm very pleased that the UNDP has made also our humble contributions to this handbook. It captures best practices and examples from cities across India and Southeast Asia that face similar plastic waste challenges. The solutions in the handbook are aligned with the principles of the government of India's Swachh Bharat Mission 2.0, which aspires to make cities garbage-free. Apart from focusing on operational side, we also need to focus on a very critical stakeholder in waste management, which is our Safai Sathis. UNDP's program also promotes setting up of material recovery facilities and empowers Safai Sathis by providing them with municipal identity cards, linking them to social protection programs. And then I have met them, I have spoken to them, and really through this program, they have been quite empowered socially. Our constant endeavor is to provide a respectable livelihood to all the persons involved in the entire waste value chain. We all have a role to play to tackle the growing challenge of plastic pollutions. I'm sure that this handbook will be a guiding force for circular and more sustainable India. So once again, thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Shobha Noda, for your wonderful remarks. May I now request Vice Chairman Niti Aayog, CEO Niti Aayog, Special Secretary Ministry of Environment and Forests to handle the
Yeah, that's it. Very much.
Sir. Very good. Come closer.
Sir, could you, and for once, if you could look here in this lens. Another photo, please.
Thanking you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
May I now request Dr. Rajivkumar sir, Vice Chairman NITI Aayog, for his keynote address.
Mr. Shoko Noda, representative of UNDP, all my senior colleagues here, members of the media, ladies and gentlemen. It's a great pleasure to have launched this very useful and handbook, and I want to congratulate the vertical, the urban housing vertical under Mr. Rajeshwar Rao and all his colleagues who have done a splendid job, and for two special reasons. One, for the very positive, very constructive collaboration with the UN system, with UNDP. I think that shows the way to the future, that we can collaborate more and more to do these things. But also the announcement that you made that you are translating it, or you've already translated that into Hindi.
Your idea.
Yeah, and
Hindi.
इसकी बात की बहुत खुशी है कि ये हिंदी में आपने इसको अनुवाद किया और भी लैंग्वेजेस में कर रहे हैं, क्योंकि आखिरश ये काम जो है वहीं पे होगा. और अर्बन लोकल बॉडीज में द वर्क विल बी डन इन द अर्बन लोकल बॉडीज एंड व्हिच आर ऑल देयर, एंड अनलेस दे हैव एक्सेस to this in their own language and medium, it will serve a limited purpose. So very big congratulations on that. Enough has been said on plastics, its usefulness and its now threat and danger and so on. So I don't want to add to any of that discussion. Just a couple of things. One, that I noticed in this book, the model that you discussed about Indore Municipal Corporation, and you called it the model for generating mass awareness. I think that is the key today going forward. अभी भी हमारे देश में इसके बारे में कोई जानकारी खास है नहीं कि प्लास्टिक कितनी ख़राब चीज़ है, और हम लोग उसको, I think that awareness spreading, I think is the key, and I would hope and request you to take that model for Indore, for going up to 450,000 houses, explaining to them, holding workshops, holding discussion groups, etc., to generate this. And as the CEO said, that will be the only way that you can generate a Jan Andolan, a people's movement. And a people's movement is what is required today for getting rid of this courage that we have amongst us. So that's one comment that I wanted to make, and I hope we'll do this. And I want to congratulate also the Ministry of Environment for the latest amendments that we're bringing out. I think that will go a long way, on Plastic Waste Management Rules 2021, which is already notified. So I think that they will, go a long way in doing so. The only other two things I want to say. One is that I may be wrong, I admit to that, but for me the picture of waste and rag pickers and their life is still not a very, it's not something that I would want to encourage for any length of time. I have actually been on the Ahmedabad municipal dump with the Seva workers, with the Seva women workers, and it's not a good sight, and when the dumpers come and these women run to them and pick the thing, etc. It's not a life that I would go for anybody. So Niti Aayog should work on something to replace that, to mechanize that, to do something about it, or to improve their productivity. So when I appreciate the fact that they are being formed into cooperatives and so on and so forth, but we have to lift them out of it somehow, the rag pickers, because we can't remain a rag pickers economy. I mean, I think if you go to other countries, you'll see that they don't rely on something like that. So I think it's time we need to get out of this. And so there is no, again, as I said, pardon my saying it, but we cannot for once, so if you like, celebrate or the rag pickers story. So that's one. And the last point that I want to make is that I was looking at this. I wished, well, let me put it this differently. I hope that you will work more actively on private sector participation in all of this. And I give the example of, no doubt, Cyril Goods, the Parley for Oceans, who actually has done this huge work in the world for this, retrieving plastics from the ocean. And he has then collaborated with Adidas to produce shoes which are of a higher quality than the ordinary shoes from the recovered plastic. And all of you would, everybody should know that Cyril Goods is coming here on the 22nd of October and giving us a talk on that. So that's the sort of thing that we want to do here, and the innovation on that field. So that's the ambition that we should have. Without private sector participation, I'm afraid, large-scale private sector participation, I'm afraid we may not be able to achieve this. So with those very few words, and with again a note of congratulations to everybody concerned, I recommend this handbook to all, and I wish that everybody will follow these models and learn from them, and that genuinely plastic waste management will become a Jan Andolan in our country. Thank you all very much. Thank you.
Sir, for your words and for your guidance. I'm sure the team at EP would have taken the note of it, and we will definitely try and may I now request to my colleague, Dr. Vishwanath Vishori, Deputy Advisor, Managing Organization. Okay. There is small correction, sorry. May I now request Sri Krishna Balachandran, OIC UNDP, to accept the vote of that. I'm sorry for the sir.
Thank you so much. Thank you, sir, for your kind words and encouraging words on this very important event. Good evening, and thank you all for joining for the launch of the Niti Aayog UNDP Handbook on sustainable urban plastic waste management here as well as online. I'm hopeful that the handbook will enable urban local bodies and other relevant stakeholders at the city level to move towards sustainable plastic management and realize the objective set out by the government in the Swachh Bharat Mission 2.0. We are thankful for the continuous patronage received from the Ministry of Housing and Urban Affairs, Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change. Our experience in implementing the plastic waste management program has been instrumental in putting this very important handbook together and providing best practices from various cities in India such as Bangalore, Surat, Hyderabad, Indore, as well as Southeast Asia like Vietnam, Philippines and Indonesia. Apart from the UNDP cities, we've also taken cities examples from other relevant practices available in the country. Along with Niti Aayog, we are committed to make and take the agenda forward through regional workshops and urban local bodies in the coming weeks. On behalf of UNDP, our sincere appreciation and thank you to Dr. Rajivkumar, Sri Amitabh Kant, Dr. Rajeshwar Rao, Sri Arpit Gupta ji, and Sri Kundan Kumar for gracing the launch today and guidance and partnership in the workbook. My deep gratitude to the UNDP resident representative Ms. Shoko Noda, Deputy Resident Representative Ms. Nadia Nasheed for the continued guidance and support while preparing this handbook and joining in the launch today. Thankful to all the members of the Managing Urbanization Vertical at NITI, and special appreciation to Dr. Vishwanath Bishoy and Dheeraj Sandani, young professional, for the technical guidance. Without your support, it would have not been possible. So thank you very much. My gratitude to all the teams at UNDP for contribution, and especially colleagues Mera, Himani and Ankita. Sincere thanks to state governments, urban local bodies, pollution control boards, corporate partners for joining the event. I'd like to thank the partners for the extended support throughout the work. Thank you for all the media for the launch. Lastly, I extend my heartfelt thanks to the entire UNDP team and Niti Aayog team for making this event happen. Together, we are all committed towards the sustainable development goals, achieving of the sustainable development goals by 2030. We look forward to working together in the coming days. Many thanks for joining me. Thank you very much. We have a few mementos to be handed over behalf of UNDP from our resident representative. I think the first one is to Dr. Rajivkumar.
Wow. What is it? You got the plastic?
No plastic.
No plastic. Thank you so much.
Shri Amitabh Khan.
Thank you so much.
Shri R.P. Gupta. ji. Dr. Rajeshwar Rao. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Before we
we will
enter the
happily
meeting, may I request
I put it removed.
may I request the chairman, vice chairman, CEO, and the distinguished guest for a photo.
कहाँ भाई
Photo op.
घूमने गई चलो